GPeC Summit, ladies and gentlemen, November 2017, and I have the great pleasure to have next to me Oli Gardner, co-founder Unbounce. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you for joining us. How was the event so far? How was the audience?
It's great. Yeah, it's my second time here, so it's nice to see how it's progressed. I love the catwalk at the front. That was kind of
like
fun.
A rock star.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, Oli, what are the main ideas that you hope the audience will remember from your keynote?
Yeah, my talk was kind of around two things. One is that marketing teams, when the way they work, are dysfunctional. They don't work together because we don't have the right processes. And the second part was I shared a process for how we can collaborate better. And it's based on the idea of narrowing down the amount of data that you have to consider, because there's so much data. It's overwhelming. People don't use it often because they don't know where to start. So the process I've created helps tell you what types of data you should look at for the things you're trying to optimize, and how to do it collaboratively with your team so that everybody, observing data brings empathy for the customer. This process does that, but it also brings empathy for your colleagues as well, and understanding who's, they may have skills that you hadn't realized before. So.
Being a data analyst or looking at data, it's not always an easy thing to do.
Right.
So I'd like to tell me, what are the top 3 mistakes that online shops all over the world do over and over again?
Right. There's probably quite a difference in some of them in the different locations, but something I notice, I'm from Canada, and something I notice a lot with e-commerce, like if I'm trying to get flowers,
okay.
Every guy has to do that because we get in trouble. But I'll be searching for same-day delivery, Vancouver. And a lot of e-commerce companies have their keyword bidding done wrong. So one of the things they'll be serving to people, you might be somewhere you only serve one part of the country and you're giving me an ad. So you're wasting your click because I'm going there. And once you get there, one of the frustrating things is the currency not being obvious. So especially for me, if I don't see Canadian dollars, it's constant anxiety going, oh, what's going to happen? It's not until I get the end of the checkout process that I see, oh, it's US dollars. That's going to cost me a lot more money. And maybe they're shipping from a different country. So I imagine in Europe, because there's so many countries in the EU, that it's really important that that's front and center. That's
so providing accurate data and
it's the specificity, like those little things that take away the anxiety, because it's the shipping is free or included, returns are it's in this currency. I know it's for me because I go through a lot of checkouts and they say, oh, we don't actually deliver to Canada. And I'm like, well, you kind of promised you did with the ad. So
okay, why do you deliver me those ads?
Exactly, and that's because people don't bid correctly. They do broad match or something where you can show up for things that are nothing to do with your business. But.
Let's get back a little bit to conversion optimization.
Yep.
What do you think will be the next big thing in this field, in this area?
It's definitely machine learning, artificial intelligence, which is scary to some people. Everyone thinks it's the next industrial revolution or information age, and it kind of is. People are afraid they'll lose jobs because the machines are going to take over everything. We're definitely not there yet. Like we're working on, we have an algorithm which predicts conversion up to with 80% confidence, and we're learning a lot by using this. But all it's really going to do in the next couple of years is accelerate our access to information, to insights, and instead of us taking a long time to figure something out, it'll be brought to us more quickly. So I think that's going to empower marketers to do more rather than thinking it's going to take over our jobs. Now, that doesn't mean to say it's not going to go that far, but
eventually.
I think we have to pay attention now to what's going on so we can learn new techniques, because if the insights we usually spend our months coming up with, if they're there automatically, we have to change how we work. You got to do something, your process is entirely different.
A/B testing. It's still an interesting thing to do, and most of the online shops that are probably watching right now still have questions on how should I do this? What's the right framework to apply, to use? What are your tips here?
One of the big misconceptions is that people think testing is optimization. It's not. Testing is it's a tool to measure whether your optimization hypothesis is actually correct. But optimization is way more than just the testing part. The testing comes at the end, and as such, the testing has to be done really rigorously, and it has to be done properly. And everybody does A/B testing wrong to begin with. Everybody. I did it wrong for over a year. You need to use sample size calculators. You need to use proper confidence calculators. I shared one, A/B Test Guide. They have a great calculator to make sure you're getting the right sample size, because you'll be shocked at how many people don't do it correctly. But also, e-commerce often has a lot of traffic, which is great. But if you are trying to do testing on a site that doesn't have much traffic, you shouldn't be testing. Don't even consider it, because it will never be valid. If that's the case, think of your growth curve. If I get this much traffic right now, look at the trend in Google Analytics. Oh, when I get to this point, I may have enough traffic to do valid testing, but until then, you have to do other types of optimization. So do usability testing, look at session recordings, look at heat maps and other things, because you can't do an A/B test yet if you have low traffic. So it's dispelling some of these myths, because people get really excited about it. I want to test something, but then they don't test the right things either. They just, they try testing button colors and dumb things like that. You should never run a test unless you've observed a pain. Then you need to solve that pain. That's why I talk about micrometrics, which are measurements of all the little observations you see and using design solutions to improve each of them. It's deeper than conversion rate. Conversion rate by itself doesn't tell you the whole story.
What types of A/B testing can we run in terms of user experience? So let's suppose that we want to improve. We see that our users encounter problems, I don't know, in their onboarding process, for example, or something like this.
Okay.
What type of A/B testings should we run?
In terms of the things you should change, you should try?
Yes.
Well, that's where the collaborative process comes in. If you can look at these problems together and, sketch ideas for how to solve the problem, do it together, when you get the insight of different skill sets, a marketer, a copywriter, a designer is what I was talking about. Different people see things differently. They'll find different things that you might not have considered. That will speed your getting to the point where you are actually designing something that does correct bad user behavior. Users don't behave badly.
Okay.
Your platform or your software, your page performs badly. But yeah.
Okay. What conversion optimization tools would you recommend for online shops who want to improve their UX and maybe, increase their conversion rate?
Right. I guess it depends on the scale of what you're doing. There's the obvious testing platforms like VWO and Optimizely. Google Optimize, that's come out now. They've got their free one back again. VWO is pretty interesting. They've expanded to a full kind of suite of conversion tools, so they're definitely worth looking at. Hotjar is great for the observational, collecting the data. Usability Hub's good for running 5-second tests for measuring clarity. And if people can find the information they need on your product page quickly, especially if people are comparison shopping with different stores, and some of them have better clarity, better specificity than you do, that's where people will shop. They'll close the tab with yours and they'll go somewhere else. So for landing pages, for overlays, pop-ups, and sticky bars, Unbounce has all of that now. We just launched overlays and sticky bars, which are great for e-commerce. We have really super advanced targeting, so you can make sure you do it in the right way. Like when we released these, we were really careful to try and educate marketers to do it respectfully, because there's such a stigma around that, like pop-ups. We call them overlays to try and get rid of the past, but because the technology is not the problem. Marketers are the problem. The marketers are the ones that abuse the technology and use negative psychological tactics to get people to convert. That's not how we should be doing it. These things do convert, but you should be respectful and you should be offering something of extreme value. Otherwise, you should never put that kind of thing in front of people.
And focus on your customers' needs.
Exactly.
Okay. Do you think the growth of mobile changes the process in conversion optimizations and the UX rules? Because in Romania we speak a lot about mobile traffic and people browsing and shopping via mobile.
The first thing you need to do, because everyone's in a panic, first responsive design was a big thing, and now it's becoming adaptive, and people don't like that anymore. And Then mobile first. Mobile first is can be one of the stupidest concepts ever. You'll have an agency or you'll have your boss say, "We need to let's do a redesign. Let's be mobile first." Look at your analytics first, because if you can, this is true for Unbounce, 98% of our conversions come from desktop. So if we did a redesign, mobile first, we'd be designing for people that don't exist, for an experience that isn't relevant. And that's really common. That's where you should start. Make sure your customers are actually doing something there, because if they're not, forget about it until they are. You have to pay attention, and you'll see the curve of how many people are, starting to convert on mobile. And it depends what it is. I mean, we're a SaaS software platform, so signing up on the phone might not be as relevant as e-commerce, where you want to shop on your phone, because I do that all the time. But make sure you're building an experience for someone who actually exists.
So always look at your data. Don't listen necessarily to the trends or what people say that you should do.
And sometimes it's just the simple data like that. Look at the breakdown between desktop and mobile. That's a good way of solving the argument about should we do this or that. And there's always one type of data that's typically more helpful for whatever you're working on. That's why I create that playbook, to kind of give people a bit of advice as to the types of data they should look at depending on what you're working on.
Black Friday is a very, very popular and effective online shopping event here in Romania, at least today, for example. Does it still have the same impact globally and in US probably, or I don't know, maybe has it gradually lost?
It's not as obscene in Canada as it is in the US. You just need to look on Twitter, like in the US, there'll be photos of people getting trampled for the physical thing. People lining up outside the stores, trampling one another, fighting, trying to get to these deals. And then, is that the same here? Like Black Friday is the physical thing, and then Cyber Monday is the online version?
No, it's more like the online version of your... so here Black Friday is mostly about online shops and a lot of discounts. And
Black Friday in North America is
totally
brick and mortar. That's people showing up at the stores. And then the Monday after that is Cyber Monday, which is the full online thing.
Okay.
But it's really big, yeah.
It's still really big. Nice. Could you give us 2 or maybe 3 examples of online marketing specialists that our readers and our viewers should follow, except yourself, of course, because we are already reading you.
Andy Crestodina from Orbit Media. He's one of my favorite people. He's a brilliant marketer and a lovely person. Amy Harrison, who's coming up later today.
Yes, and I'm going to do an interview with her. I'm super
She's
excited.
an amazing writer and hilarious.
Yes.
You know what? I took some notes about this question, and I'm slipping my mind the people I was going to recommend. It's terrible. Let me think.
Maybe on UX, maybe on, I don't know, marketing technologies. Because I spoke with another interviewer earlier today about this marketing technologist new field.
Drawing a total blank. This is awful.
Okay, then you promise me that you will send me an email.
I will email you.
And tell me top 10 marketing specialists that we should follow from Oli Gardner.
I will do that.
Gardner's experience.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. I hope you
My
did
pleasure.
enjoy the event, and I'm really hoping that you will come back again, maybe next year.
Right.
With some
I love coming here. It's
data.
awesome.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.